What's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen. Get some.
Mix is hard to raise, man. I don't know what it's like to be a black dude raising mixed kids, but a white dude, shit's hard, man. You know, because for one, I didn't know how strong the black gene is. I didn't know. I didn't know when you have a kid between a black and a white person, 9% of the time the kid's gonna look more black than he is white. I didn't know that. So I was in the living room, you know? Some bitch popped out, I was like, what? Really? Really? You know, I'm a dad, man. I got my son, you know. Any dad in here, you want your son to look like you a little bit, just a little, you know. My son looks nothing like me, nothing, man. My son looks stolen, you know. You see me walking down the street with my son, you don't know it's my son. You think I'm in the Big Brother, Big Sister program or something, man. I got people hollering out, appreciate it. What are you talking about? Mine. My son goes through stages too, like sometimes he wants to be white, sometimes he wants to be black, you know. Right now he's at a black stage, he won't be white, just wants to be black, you know. It doesn't work, you know. You can't be like some angry black dude and I'm your dad, gotta come home to me every day. Shit don't work, you know. I remember he was watching Farrakhan on TV one day, he's like, Dad, we need to talk. I was like, what? He's like, you know, we were the first people. I said, no, I don't think I'm in that. Probably have this discussion with your mom, but not me. So I don't think he was talking to me. I think we were second. We were second. You were first. We were second. So yeah. So we was that silver medal's still good. So. Can't be some angry black dude, and I'm your dad. You know, don't work. Like I remember earlier this year, I was gone for like 6 straight weeks, right? So I called home. You know, see how my son's doing. My son got attitude with me on the phone, man. You know, I called home. I was like, "What's up, man?" He goes, "What's up, Dad?" I was like, well, "What are you doing?" "Nothing." "Dad, why ain't you home?" I was like, "I'll be home in a couple weeks. I'm just telling some jokes." He's like, "I don't think that's the reason." I was like, "What? Why don't you think I'm home?" "I don't think you're home because it's Black History Month." "I'm saying, Dad, you know I got a whole month. You scared? You scared to be around us this month? You know I got a whole family, Dad. You scared to be around us this month?" Like, what are you talking about? He goes, "Dad, this is what I'm saying. This is my month, okay? This is my month. So ain't nothing you say this month because I'm a black kid and it's a black month." I said, "You're mixed. You only celebrate half the month, motherfucker. You don't get the whole month. Valentine's Day, your shit is over."
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on YouTube. Go to my YouTube page. It's youtube.com/GaryOwenCom. Or go to iTunes and just search Gary Owen, #GetSome, or search United We Cast. I don't know if I could pronunciate that stuff any more than I just did, but I've been working on my pronunciation. So I want to address the Super Bowl. Unless you were living under a rock, the Philadelphia Eagles beat the New England Patriots. And I said I was rooting for the Eagles. I will never bet against Tom Brady. But I said that, like, the Eagles were just so resilient all year. They lose their quarterback. They lose their left tackle, Peters. They lose Wentz. And they just kept plugging away, and that goes to coaching, man. And what's frustrating to me about the Super Bowl is the Eagles, they had a decent coach, Chip Kelly, got rid of him. They bring in Peterson, and it's amazing what a coach can do to motivate a team, to just have a scheme that it doesn't matter. Because once you get to NFL, everybody's a good athlete. Everybody was probably 90% of the league went to big-time college football programs. You got those guys that come out of nowhere, but 9% of the league, they've been the best player on the team, every team they've been to. You got all the best players from every high school and every college in the NFL. And it just goes to show what a coach can do when a team buys in and they get the right scheme and they play aggressive. Because that's the thing that won the Eagles game in the Super Bowl over the Patriots was they stayed aggressive. They didn't sit back like the Jaguars did. The Jaguars took a knee at the end of the half, and they had some time to get some plays off. And the Falcons last year kind of took their foot off the gas. And Peterson, the Eagles, like, nah, I don't care if there's 10 seconds left. We going for it. To go for it on 4th down like that? And to come with that play? Come on, man. They didn't run that play all year. That wasn't in the game plan. You can tell Nick Foles hooped a little bit. He had a little wiggle to him when he caught that ball. That wasn't no awkward catch. And I never thought I'd say this, but the Patriots got out-coached. as far as the Eagles offense compared to the Patriots defense, because the Eagles defense couldn't stop Brady. They came with a play when they needed a big play. But if you still look at the end of the game, Brady kind of just ran out of time because he got him 30 yards, 40 yards pretty freaking fast at the end of that game and had him in a position where he threw that ball and it made it to the end zone. And they started on the 10-yard line. And they was damn near midfield at the end of the game. But just, man, remember like in the late 80s and early 90s when all the Super Bowls were terrible? They were all bad. They were all blowouts, and the NFC was dominant for a long time between the Cowboys and Niners and that era and the Giants. They were just blowing the AFC out. And every year the Super Bowl was just a disappointment. Then the Redskins blew out the Bills. The Redskins blew out the Broncos. It was just bad Super Bowls. And then all of a sudden it started to turn, man. And the last few years, I mean, great Super Bowls. Went into overtime last year. This year was a great Super Bowl. The Ravens and 49ers was a good Super Bowl. The Seahawks blew out the Broncos. That's pretty much been the only blowout in the last 10 years, from what I can remember. They've all been really good games. And that's what you want in the Super Bowl. You want the season to end like that. Win or lose, man. Brady's he's the greatest of all time. Because that wasn't his fault last night. They're going to be like, Brady's 5-3 now. And I took a dig on Brady. I was like, yeah, Brady's lost 3 Super Bowls. My Bengals have only lost 2. So, boom, greatest my ass. I always find a silver lining. Let me tell you something. When the Super Bowl ends and whoever wins the Super Bowl, I always try to find a silver lining and be like, maybe that could be the Bengals next year. And my silver lining this year is the Eagles were 7-9 last year. What was the Bengals record this year? 7-9. Ooh. Uh-oh. That's pretty much all I got. As far as to see Jake Elliott be kicking them field goals and knowing the Bengals cut him at the beginning of the year, because Jake Elliott, the Eagles kicker, was the Bengals' 5th-round pick. That hurt my soul. Broke the rookie record for longest field goal in the Super Bowl. And we cut him. And to see, like, Rex Burkhead balled out a little bit and Marquise Flowers, those are both ex-Bengals playing for the Patriots. I'm like, dude, man, come on. But great Super Bowl. And what was even better was afterwards was Kevin Hart getting denied getting on stage at the Super Bowl. He was so drunk. He tried to get on the stage presenting the trophy. And I was like, that security guard said, no, Kev. And I'm so glad he did, because everybody knows I got a great friendship with Kevin. But when he's wrong, he's wrong. He was wrong in this part. Because, look, that is the Philadelphia Eagles' time to shine. Let them boys get on that stage, enjoy it with each other. That was their journey. They did it together. You don't want some outsider coming in messing with that moment. You got the after party. Stop by the after party. Say what's up to the guys. Get a float. Get your own float, Kevin, and get on that parade route. Because I said, can you imagine if the whole football team would just walk on the stage and Kevin's about to do his last joke at a taping, like a comedy special taping? Kevin be like, what the fuck? Yeah. I even said on my Instagram page, I said, Kev was wrong on this one. And I will say this, though. I'm not going to put it past me. If the Bengals ever won a Super Bowl, I would probably be trying to get on that stage, too, because I would be that drunk. So I'm not, I disagree with Kevin, but I understand. I ain't going to lie about that. I completely understand. Because knowing all the comedians, Michael Blackson and Kevin Hart, and I saw Bradley Cooper in the owner's suite, just and Mike Trout for the Angels, seeing like Philly guys. Will Smith wasn't there, but he had some funny Instagram videos. But just seeing those guys that I know from Philly that born and bred diehard Philly fans, to see their reaction, how happy they were, and the emotions, I'm like, I want that feeling, man. But it's the offseason now. We'll see who we pick in the draft. But I don't know, 7-9, baby. I'm going to hang my hat on that. Eagles were 7-9. The Bengals were 7-9. It can happen. But on a sad note, I get the news that Rasul Butler died in a car crash, him and his wife. His wife was an American Idol finalist years ago, and she was signed to Epic Records. And like, I wasn't great friends with Rasul, but I knew him. He was in Think Like a Man with us. He was one of the basketball players. It was Matt Barnes and Meta World Peace and Darren Collison, Lisa Leslie, and Shannon Brown was the NBA players that was in Think Like a Man. And that's right. That's where I got to know him a little bit on set. And then we would go out and do little hole in the wall spots around LA, do stand up. I would show up, Kevin would show up, and he would always show up. He really liked stand up, and he showed up at a lot of shows randomly. And but he was a Philly guy through and through. Went to LaSalle, played on numerous teams, the Heat, the Pacers, the Spurs, just to name a few. And what struck me is when the news hit that he died in a car crash, so many NBA players posted pictures of him. And they all said the same thing. They was just like, just a good dude, just straight up good dude. Good basketball player. Obviously, he was in the NBA for years. And he was that guy that was like, he found his niche and he stayed in the league for over 10 plus years, well over 10 years, because he was a role player. And when some guys accept that, that's guys that you see are in the league for years to come. It's those guys that want to be the number one scorer or doesn't want to play defense or doesn't want to do the dirty work. They're out of the league in a few years. But if you can find your role, and not everybody's going to be Michael Jordan, not everybody's going to be LeBron James, you know, when you can find your role, those guys stay in the league for years to come because there's a spot for them on the squad. Not everybody's going to be the first option. But if like Rasul was a 3-point specialist and he was long and lean, so he could come in and he could D up everybody but the center. He was like a hired gun. Like he just come in and, you know, he could shoot threes. So I just want to give my condolences to his friends, his family. And like I said, I wasn't best friends with him, but we was cool, man. Every time I ran into him, you know, it was always cordial. He was always polite, always nice. Not just to me, but to everybody. And that sentiment was universal when I saw everybody posting their Instagram pics of Rasul today as the news came in that he passed away. So just sucks, man. Just it's never a good thing when somebody passes away, especially when they pass away in their 30s. And he was just in the Big Three over the summer. Like we just saw him in the Big Three tournaments, the Ice Cube League. So again, my condolences to all his friends and family. Just a good dude. Other news in the NBA, Blake Griffin got traded from LA to Detroit. I don't think anybody saw that coming. And here's the thing about the NBA now. I guess Blake found out through social media. I'm like, you can't even tell the guy you're going to trade him now? And the notion is Blake Griffin is Hollywood. He's LA. He bought into the lifestyle. And I do know he was doing stand-up on the side, and he started an entertainment production company. Now, granted, you cannot do stand-up on the side, but he got invited, and he performed at the Montreal Comedy Festival. I don't get invited to that. What's that say? It's all about talent when it comes to that. So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen with Detroit, and it's safe to say the Clippers are straight rebuild mode. And the trade deadline's coming up. You know, DeAndre Jordan does not want to stay in LA now. And the other big news in the NBA was DeMarcus Cousins tore his Achilles. He's out for the year. And that one sucks, man, because I like DeMarcus a lot. Like a lot of people say he's a, little emotional on the court and off the court. But every time I run into him, and I've been out to Sacramento when he played for the Kings. He had his charity weekend. I like him a lot. And like I said, he always comes to see me if I'm close in the area. And I always say, if you come see me, I'm a fan of yours from jump. So when I was in Houston in December, not one Rocket came to a show. Fuck the Rockets. You guys were at home. You had home games. You didn't come see me. I hope you get your fucking ass kicked by Golden State. Not just kidding. But DeMarcus and Rondo also. Rajon Rondo always comes sees me if I'm close in the area. So I was like really rooting for the Pelicans from afar in the West. And then when he went down, especially the way he went down, like the game was already won. There was like 30 seconds left. And I think he's been putting a lot of minutes in. more than he should have, but they're pretty much a kind of a two-headed monster there in New Orleans with Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. And it just sucks because he was having such a good year. And he's a free agent after this year. It's his contract year, but I don't think it'll affect. He's still going to get max dollars from somebody. He's too much of a talent not to. The guy can play every position. He damn near can play point. He's just a smooth player, man. And then I was watching the internet this week, and it was hysterical. There's been a problem lately where people are taking people's packages, FedEx packages, UPS packages, stealing them, and then taking off, because if you leave a package at the door, you don't have to sign for it. People scope your houses out, and then they take your packages. I don't know. I think it was on Facebook or somebody sent me an email link, but it was in Seattle, and this lady went to grab these FedEx boxes, and she slipped when she grabbed the boxes and broke her ankle. And the boxes go flying, and she's kind of stuck in the front yard of this house. And the guy had to get out of the getaway car, and he had a Seahawks jersey on, and he's got to help her up. And she was a heavy lady too. And then he helps her up, and they limp her to the to his car. But they had a camera system at this house, so they caught the lady and the guy. And what really pisses me off about these people stealing packages is this particular house. It was medicine. The people that lived there needed medicine that was sent to them, and that's what bothers me. So you're stealing these packages, and these people are counting on this medicine to get there, and some just to survive or to have a better quality of life. And I just think I have no remorse for those people that steal packages like that and then get caught and then try to cry in court. I mean, it's one thing to steal like a candy bar or to steal from a grocery store because your kids are hungry. It's another thing to you're scoping out houses and taking FedEx packages. I just can't stand it. And then it doesn't hit me why. And then when I hear why, I'm like, hold on. People got their medicine in these FedEx boxes, probably packed in dry ice. Some stuff you got to keep cool. You're just going to steal it. Oh, that pisses me off. Now, talk about stealing packages. My brother, now a lot of I had a brother. He passed away back in 2015 of a heroin overdose. I had another brother, my only two brothers. One's passed away. The other one, he got caught with a bunch of drugs back in November. And I just found out he's going to get sentenced February 6th. And they charged him with 3 felonies. They got a 2nd-degree felony, a 3rd-degree felony, and a 5th-degree felony. And in Ohio, I guess a 2nd-degree felony for drug possession like that it can be anywhere from 2 to 8 years. And then the 3rd-degree penalty can be 1 to 3 years. And then the 5th degree can be 6 to 12 months. So it looks like, I don't know if he has got a good lawyer or not, but it looks like my brother's he's definitely going to do some jail time. We just don't know how much. According to the streets, he is a big snitch. And if he's going to jail, he's going to do whatever he can to minimize his time. But the reason I brought that up, and the segue is my brother used to do this. My brother that's going to go to prison, he'll get sentenced February 6th. We don't know yet. This used to be the racket they used to run, is they used to take FedEx packages and they put them, people would mail either the drugs or money, and they put them in these FedEx envelopes and wrap them up, and somehow they would be able to do it so the dogs couldn't detect the scent if it was weed in the FedEx boxes. And they would stake out these houses that nobody was living in, or they would stake out these houses that they knew people was at work. And that's where the FedExes would get delivered. And that was like the racket. Like they would send cash or weed through the mail like that and get tipped off. I think they knew somebody that worked at UPS or FedEx, and they tip them off and say, hey, the box is on its way. It's going to get delivered, between 10 and noon. They stake it out. And I guess my brother's MO was, he did this a few times. He grabbed a couple packages when it was his turn to pick up the packages with the cash, and then he'd split town and then say, oh, it never got delivered. So then he would go from Ohio down to Florida and just have all this cash that he had gotten And then you got all these people, it's a trickle down effect. So you got people that wherever that FedEx box came from, now they didn't get the pot or whatever drugs it was or the money. So you got the people that they came to, and then you got it's our whole trickle down effect. The people that mailed it is wondering what's going on. The people that my brother's supposed to deliver the package to is wondering what's going on. So, and then everybody else has somebody hierarching. It's like, when does it stop? But I guess my brother's MO for a minute was taking these FedEx packages and splitting town and then saying it never came. And then he'd come back to town a year later, 2 years later, and, link up with some different drug dudes and start doing it again. And, I'm not going to say his name. We ain't got the same last name. So, but I remember when he got busted back in November, one of his buddies put the link up to the newspaper article that had stated he had gotten arrested with all these drugs on him. And the first couple messages on the Facebook page was typical stuff, praying for you, hope he gets better, hope this turns on the light, and then people start chiming in like, hey, ain't that the dude that ripped off Rick? Hold up, that's the dude that robbed my boy Bill. All these messages start coming in on Facebook of all these people that my brother had ripped off. And I was like, whoa. So the guy took down the post so goddamn fast. I was like, my brother is a thief. Like, straight up just thief. One guy had a story about, I guess he was smart with this though, because he'd only rob from people that was in the drug business or game because he knew they couldn't go to the cops. So if he takes their money or their drugs out of their apartment or house when they're not home, they can't call the cops and say somebody stole my drugs, somebody took my money. So what are you going to do? They're just kind of like in limbo. So, and they would split town. But he did that numerous times. And I think what bothers me the most about this whole situation is my brother that passed away in 2015, my other brother that's getting sentenced next week, he got caught with methamphetamines and fentanyl so they got him like he's going to sell the fentanyl. And I was like, dude, you are selling the same shit that killed our brother. You're selling it. So you know what it does to people. Like, you shoot up fentanyl, you're going to die. It's almost like you're selling somebody a gun with bullets in it and just saying, put it to your head. And that's hard for me to come to grips with. I'm like, how are you selling the same shit killed our brother? And I just don't know how my stepdad and my mom rationalize that in their head. Like, my mom and my stepdad, they know my brother's a drug dealer. They know it. But they try to rationalize it or to act like he's not doing it. And I will never forget. It was the craziest thing I ever heard my mom say was, my brother dies. We come find out it was because of fentanyl that was in the heroin. And she goes, well, your little brother said it best. It's one thing to sell drugs. It's another thing to sell drugs was going to kill you. And I went, what? All drugs kill you. Eventually. It could be a slow kill, but they all kill you eventually. And now the brother that made that comment got busted selling fentanyl. So I'm thinking, my mom, I'm like, how does she rationalize that? Because that was how she rationalized it when my brother died. Was, your other brother might sell drugs, but he don't sell fentanyl. He ain't selling hard drugs that's going to kill you. That was her way of rationalizing it. And I had a conversation the other day with somebody, and they asked me, like, if you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, all time, who would it be? And I was like, my mom. I would have dinner with my mom if she was going to be honest. I am curious as to what she would say to me as to why I'm ostracized from that side of the family, and why she forgives everybody else, but I'm the bad guy in the family. I would just be curious as to her answer to me. And so that'd be the one person I would have dinner with you. It wouldn't be Michael Jordan. It wouldn't be Jesus Christ. Wouldn't be Malcolm X. Wouldn't be Gandhi. It would be my mom. If I could have one person to sit down and have dinner with and have an honest conversation. Because I would just like to know where her mind's at, that she could just not have anything to do with her son. That's just mind-boggling to me, that you could just cut a kid off like that. Because now, this Christmas coming up, this is my mom and stepdad. This is who's coming over for Christmas. My sister. Because they got 3 boys. One's dead. One's going to be in prison. And one doesn't have anything to do with him. Me. So then you got my sister. That's going to be it. So you got nobody else coming over for Christmas. So I just wonder, like, how do you rationalize that in your head? I'm just so curious. I almost want to go and sit in the back of the courtroom when my brother gets sentenced, just to see. And then, because what's going to happen is, however long he gets, my stepdad will turn it and flip it and try to rationalize it like, well, he shouldn't have got that much time. There was another guy that sold the same amount of drugs. He didn't get that long, or it's the lawyer's fault, or it's the judge's fault, or it's the cop that arrested my brother's fault. But it ain't going to be my brother's fault. I'll tell you that shit right now. They are going to flip this and turn it and make it work out in their favor that it wasn't my brother's fault. It was somebody else's fault. I would just like to sit in the back of the courtroom. I probably won't. I ain't decided yet, honestly. I might show up and just sit in the back of the courtroom, because at least they can't do anything there. They're not going to make a scene in the courtroom, I would think. I'm just curious as to what's going to happen, because I'm not going to get an answer from them. I'm probably going to have to look it up on the internet and see how long he gets. And somebody else that knows my brother was like, well, maybe this will help him get his life back on track. I said, it's never been on track. I go, get back on what track? He's always been off track. My brother's in love with the quick money. He likes the quick money. So he's never going to really have that 9-to-5 or career where you got to just work. And he don't want that, because I offered him a job one time at one of the comedy clubs, and he sent me back a message going, oh, they don't pay enough. And I went, oh, he's still in the game. There's no way you're going to just move to Ohio and you have no money, no job. And it's not like you have a degree. You have no education. And I'm offering you a pretty much a cush job. And you said no. He was like, nah, not enough money. That was his exact text, not enough money. I was like, well, I tried. It is what it is. And I know this sounds crazy, and this has been kind of a downer episode, but the minute I let that side of my family go, my mom, my stepdad, and that side, I've never been happier. Never been happier. I posted a quote from Jim Carrey on my Instagram page, and it said, hold on, I don't want to misquote it, so I'm going to make sure I got it perfectly correct. It says, the isolated family member is usually the one who becomes awake. The isolated family member is usually the one who becomes awake. And I was like, I felt like Jim Carrey said that to me in a text. I thought he felt like, Gary, you're awake. So, by the time we come on next week, hopefully I'll know how long he got. Not that I'm wishing he gets a ton of time in prison, but I hope he gets enough that hopefully someone will get in his head and he'll be held accountable for what he's done. And once you can rationalize that with yourself and be like, yo, I haven't been a good person and I've really been messing up, you might be able to I don't know, get out and be productive and be honest and mend fences. You hope, but I don't think it's going to happen, because I think he's so far gone and so damaged. He's almost like I got a friend who's a horse trainer, and they said, when you have a damaged horse, you put it down because the other horses won't train. You put that damaged horse down. And not that I want anybody to kill anybody, but like my stepdad and my brother are damaged horses. The way they think is just backwards, freaking backwards, man. Anyways, my stepdad is still talking about me. My stepdad said, yeah, I got to be gay. I have to be gay because when I was younger, he caught me dancing to Purple Rain in my room. And I don't know if he meant the album, the movie, or the song. I don't know what he meant. But I do know I tried to rent Purple Rain when I was younger. And this is when you went to the video store and got a VHS tape. But I saved up my money and I got Purple Rain. And my stepdad walked in as the movie was starting. He's like, you ain't gonna watch that Jive Turkey Shuckin' Jive his gay ass all over my TV. And he took it out. And he didn't let me watch it. And I was just like, I just want to see Apollonia's tits. That's the only reason I got it. And then I got to watch it later on, like 6 months later when he wasn't home. I got to see it. But yeah, so he has somehow twisted that story into I was dancing in Purple Rain, so I got to be gay. My stepdad says I'm gay a lot. It's odd. It's almost like he's the dad in American Beauty, that he had all the homosexual fantasies, so he's very conflicted within himself. I'm thinking, I don't know, he seems to be leaning that way. Like, why do you keep putting this, I'm a happily married guy. It's clear I'm not. Nobody's ever been around me and thought that. And not that there's anything wrong with it either. If you are gay, that's your prerogative. I got nothing against it. That's you. But I'm not. So, anyways, man, February 9th to the 11th, I'm in Atlanta at the Atlanta Comedy Theater. February 9th to February 11th, I'm in Atlanta at the Atlanta Comedy Theater. That is a city in Georgia, for those of you that don't know, for our listeners in London and Germany. All right, y'all. This is Gary Owen with another episode of the Get Some podcast. We'll see y'all next week.